right. Click. Too many windows. Well, hey, everybody. Getting ready to record Monday's podcast with Adam up in Exeter, New Hampshire. So we are going to tell you. So your trip was from, we're not started yet, but we're talking about this past August, right?
August, yep.
Yes. Man, August feels like a year ago. It's cold here.
I
now.
know. It feels like so long ago.
Freezing up there, isn't it? Is it cold up there?
It's been cold and rainy the last 3 days.
Yeah, it's chill. It feels like Halloween.
It has not been fun.
Yeah, it's a little chilly.
It does.
Rainy.
Yeah,
it's still Halloween tonight.
Yep, it's getting that Halloween feeling.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, let's do this. This will be episode, holy cow, 1990. Is that right? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Can't believe it. 10 away from the big one. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 1990 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great Halloween night. This show does come out on Sunday night late, so maybe you're still, if you were like me when I was a kid, I would still be trick-or-treating as this show hits your feed, but I know it's 2021. Everybody's probably been in for 3 hours and the candy's all sorted and safety checked by three times. Remember, parents, safety check that candy. That means you take out all the good stuff. The kids get whatever's left over. Just that's what you do. That's why you're a parent. Anyway, hope everybody had a great Halloween. We're jumping back into a new week and a new month with a fun trip report. We're heading up to Exeter, New Hampshire today with listener Adam. Adam, how's it going? What's up?
Doing awesome, Mike. So glad to be here. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. So fall in New Hampshire's got to be a pretty magical time up in your neck of the woods, correct?
You know, the leaves start to turn colors and everything looks great, and then it gets cold and the snow comes, and that's the part we don't like. So we enjoy it for maybe a few weeks, and then it just all goes downhill.
I was gonna say, because it seems like, that's where all the Hallmark movies are, they're all based out of, Vermont, New Hampshire. It's magical, right? The snow is just fluffy and stays beautiful the entire time. It's always like a 35 degrees, never gets below that, right? It's a beautiful time.
Yep. Yeah, they don't show the shoveling and the roof rakes and all that stuff.
It's the Disney-fied version of New England and all that stuff. I love watching a show on the Smithsonian Channel called Aerial America, where it's an hour. It's basically, it should be in Epcot. This is totally a side tangent, but I'm just telling everybody there's a show on Smithsonian Channel. It's on Sunday mornings, and it is just something that it's almost like watching a desktop. If you have an Apple TV, they have these beautiful screensavers that pop on every now and then. They have like a little motion. It's an hour of a certain state or a certain part of the world. It's 100% shot by drones. So there's nothing from the ground. It's all above. And it's stuff that this should be an Epcot something. Like, this is total Epcot because it's narrated. You learn all about the state or the area. But yeah, they showed New Hampshire and Vermont one day, and I was just like, oh, I got to go there. Like, I need some maple syrup, and I need to see those trees. So
maple syrup is big up here.
I'm going to get there. Anyway, we're not talking about maple syrup. We're going to talk about your trip. So we're going to head back to where it wasn't cool. It was hot, I'm sure, down in Florida in August. But before we talk about your trip, give us some background on why you're a Disney fan. How did it all come together for you? Like, why are you such a big Disney fan?
So I've basically been a Disney fan ever since I've been old enough to know Disney is. My first trip was when I was just over 2 years old. Went with my family. We drove from New Hampshire to Florida. And my father swore we would never drive again. So from that point on, we flew. But it became an every other year sort of tradition to go to Walt Disney World and experience the parks down there. And I've been doing that ever since. And then when I was in high school, my parents bought a timeshare just outside of Walt Disney World. So it went from every other year to every year. Sometimes a couple times a year. And then when I met my wife, Lisa, her family was big into Disney. She's a big Disney fan. So that just grew from there. And we've introduced our daughters to it as well. I have a 6.5-year-old daughter, Lucy, and a 2.5-year-old daughter, Molly. And they're gigantic Disney fans. And Halloween was last night. We had an Elsa and a genie from Aladdin. So those were our trick-or-treating costumes last night.
See, if you really went to go to the next level with a Halloween costume, you'd have had a genie plus. Right, a little plus sign.
You know,
That's awesome.
I hadn't thought of that, but now I'm thinking I missed an opportunity.
You could have won the internet with that one. I'm just saying,
Totally.
blue kid and just put a little plus, genie plus. A few people would have got it. I'm just saying, you would know your neighbors who are serious Disney fans. And they'd be like, "Ah, yes,
Yes,
$15
absolutely.
a day. Yes, I get it." Okay, anyway. And so
Yeah, they would have
that's
just handed her 15 instead of candy, just handed her $15.
that's it. That would have been the total hack. Yeah. Who needs Reese's peanut butter cups? $15. Oh, that's great. Okay, so now let me ask you one other thing though. Here in this year of the 50th anniversary celebration, you could bring anything back from the past 50 years. What are you bringing back? Because you're a big time Disney fan.
Okay, so I have a list. um, so there's an idea that I've actually come up with, and just roll with me on this. People love nostalgia. People love looking back at things that used to be, and other people have also talked about having a fifth gate at Disney. So this is what I think they should do. They should have a fifth gate. They should take all these attractions that used to be there and bring them all back. You bring back Mr. Toad, you bring back Horizons, you bring back World of Motion, all these rides, and you call it Disney's Throwback Kingdom, or yes, Kingdom of Yesteryear, and you put all these attractions that people love, and there's your fifth gate.
You know what?
Free,
That's a great.
you'd
There
be
was a
printing
website.
money.
I don't know if this website still exists. I know that there was a website at least 10 years ago called Yesterland, and that was exactly what it was. It was a collection of all the extinct Walt Disney World, actually Disney attractions worldwide. But yeah, that'd be. I just think that the further we get away from all the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I don't know if it's just me. I'm super nostalgic. I talk about on the Patreon shows. It's all about nostalgia. It's about growing up and all the stuff
Hmm.
from the 80s, the 90s. I think that there's a huge nostalgia kick, and yeah, you see it with the vault right now during the 50th anniversary celebration. They're bringing back all this stuff that looks like it's the retro stuff, the tin lunch boxes and the thermoses and the ashtrays. They look like ashtrays. We don't have ashtrays anymore for the most part. Just I think that would it work? It would never happen. But I mean, I think that there would be a lot of demand for something like that. People get a kick out of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They release that nostalgic merchandise, and it sells out like crazy.
Right. Sign me up. Okay. Let's talk about your trip. So we are going to talk about your trip from August. You mentioned you went down with your family. So how did this trip come together? How'd you guys decide on August? You guys stayed at Art of Animation. How'd you guys land there? How'd this come together?
So our plan had been originally to take a big family trip back in November of 2020, including my parents, my in-laws, my sister-in-law and her husband, and their three boys. And obviously, pandemic happened, and we put those plans aside. So as we started to get into 2021, the later we got into 2021, the Disney bug was really starting to get to us, and we decided that we didn't really want to wait much longer. We wanted to get a trip on the books, so we wanted to get it in just ahead of my daughter's starting first grade, and we made that decision to not pull her out of school based on the fact that 2020 was kind of a rough year as far as kindergarten was concerned, with virtual schooling and hybrid learning and all of that stuff. We wanted to make sure that she had a full in-person school experience right off the bat, so we decided to go in August before school started to make sure that we could get a full trip in, and then she could start school just with everybody else in the normal school year. So we made the decision to go to August, and up to this point, we'd only stayed on site at Pop Century. And I love Pop Century. I absolutely adore Pop Century. But we decided maybe it was time to look at something else. My girls are huge Princess fans, so it really only made sense to go check out the Ariel rooms, the Little Mermaid rooms at Art of Animation. So we didn't go too far, right across Hourglass Lake from Pop Century to Art of Animation. And it was great. The room was fantastic. The theming is so fantastic at that resort. We loved everything about it.
One of the things I like about that particular area of Art of Animation is the landscaping. And my wife and I noticed this when we were staying there one time before a cruise, was that somehow they made the plants almost look like they're bent. How like the current of the ocean, when you look at plants underwater, the current pushes them to one way to where the plants are leaning with the current of the water. If you look at the plants in the Little Mermaid section, they all kind of have that little the kind of lean to them, which is crazy. That's such a Disney thing. Maybe just a strong wind came by the night before. I don't know, but I was like, that is pretty cool. I don't know, it's pretty sweet. But it's a neat little area. And I like that though. You didn't want to get too far outside your comfort zone. You just decided to go across Hourglass Lake. It was there if you needed it. You could still
Right.
see pop. You could see pop.
Exactly. Yeah, we could go across the lake. There's Pop Century. There's everything Pop. We're familiar with that. We know that. This was a little bit new for us, but there was still that familiarity right across the lake.
It sounds so like me. I'll try something new as long as I can still hold on to the old. That's exactly like me. All right, so talk to us about heading down from New Hampshire, especially with traveling with two girls. Did you guys fly, drive? How'd you get there?
Well, we flew, which did present some challenges the first day. We got delayed coming out of Manchester, New Hampshire, flying down to Orlando due to the fact that there was weather along the eastern seaboard and Orlando was backed up. They didn't have any place to put our plane if we had taken off from Manchester. So we got delayed for a little bit. So we ended up getting in a little later than normal, after dark, well past my girls' bedtimes. But we got into Art of Animation and walked from the main building to our room. And we walked through the Lion King section in between the Lion King buildings where those icons are in the middle between those two buildings. So we're passing Mufasa on Pride Rock and the elephant graveyard with the hyenas on top, and then you get to Scar. And in the dark, that is a little creepy.
That's true. That is
Look,
very-
especially having never seen it before, and this is my first introduction to this is at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday, just desperate to get to bed so we could get up the next morning, and here are the hyenas looking at me from on top of the rock, like, oh, okay. So there, a little bit of a bumpy way down, but everything was uphill from that point.
That's why I love these Monday shows because I have never once ever considered that. But yeah, if it was your first time walking through there like midnight, yeah, I've seen the movie. Scar wants to kill you. Like, yeah, I don't know if I want to be here with Scar. It's fun. Yeah, he got Mufasa. I don't want him getting me.
Yeah, those hyenas wanted.
Yeah, the hyenas
Right,
like, hey, look,
exactly. The hyenas wanted to make my daughter a Cub sandwich.
like, look, I'm just trying to get to my Little Mermaid room. Like, come on, dude, I'm tired. Our plane was delayed. Just let me get
Yep,
through here. I don't need.
exactly.
Nice. Okay. So let's talk about your first day. So you get there, hopefully you got a good rest. You guys rope drop Magic Kingdom first day. Good call. Some people wait to the last day of their trip. They have discipline for the Magic Kingdom. I can't do that. I got to go there first thing. You did too. So how was that first day?
We have a rule when we go to Walt Disney World. It's Magic Kingdom first day, Magic Kingdom last day. We
Okay.
bookend the trip with Magic Kingdom because that's just the way we are. Nothing really gets you into that Disney mood like seeing the castle at the end of Main Street, coming out from under that railroad bridge and seeing the castle and Main Street USA stretched out in front of you, and the feels in your heart at that moment. So it has to be Magic Kingdom right off the bat. We were all amazingly somehow up and raring to go first thing in the morning the next day after getting in so late the night before. But yeah, we rope dropped Magic Kingdom, and we got a lot done in the first 90 minutes. Within the first 90 minutes, we had ridden Peter Pan, Small World, Voyage of the Little Mermaid, or Journey of the Little Mermaid, excuse me, and Peter. Did I say Peter Pan? Yes, and Dumbo. So we did those four rides in the first 90 minutes of the day, which it's not typical for us. We're not usually that quick, but the lines were great, the crowds were great, and we managed to just get these attractions done really quick.
And again, remember, this is the first show that we've recorded where we've been able to say this trip reports where this was before Genie Plus, second Genie Plus reference of the show. But this was back when everything was just standby. So you guys got a lot done because you were, and that is still true in the Genie Plus days, guys. Get there early. You can still get a ton done without buying anything. It still works. But then, see, I see you guys went to Pinocchio's Village House, grabbed some lunch. But see, I love these stories when it's a kid's first ride on a big ride. And you know what? There's grown adults that won't ride Splash Mountain. So tell us about Lucy going on Splash Mountain because I see a little. I don't see a happy ending on this one. I don't think.
Leading up to the trip, that was all she talked about. She was like, she's finally tall enough. I want to go on Splash Mountain. I can't wait to go on Splash Mountain. And we watch videos, we watch ride throughs, kind of get her prepped for what was going to be coming. But unfortunately, nothing really prepares you for the drop. Uh, so we got through the ride. We're having fun. We're singing. We're loving every minute of it. We get to the bottom of that hill, and I look over, and her eyes are wide as saucers, and she's shaking. Like, are you okay? No. So we did not take advantage of the rider swap we had set up at that point. She did not go back on with my wife Lisa when she went on. She decided to sit that one out the second time around. But we got a couple of Mickey bars and watched the Princess Cavalcade. So I feel like that sort of made up for the trauma of our first ride of Splash Mountain.
That is a good guest recovery right there. Some Mickey bars and some princesses after the traumatic log ride. That's all. I love that because she did it right now. She knows, and you know what? It's weird because if you don't have kids, like, and kids will go through this. It's kind of a weird thing. Like they'll be brave even like at 6, and then like even when they get to like 10, then they'll freak out again and won't do something. Then we're 12 to write everything again. It's weird how the kids will go through like different spurts where they'll do things and won't do things, and they'll do them again. So you're a parent, you can't figure it out. So she'll write it again.
Yeah, she's definitely one of those kids that will. It's cyclical. It'll come back around eventually, exactly. And she's 13 or 14, and we go back. Exactly. And it's like, all right, I'm gonna get on that. Okay.
Yeah, just don't try to figure it out. So then I see in your notes, so you guys hopped over to the studios. So you guys took advantage of hopping, and how'd that go once you jumped over there?
We did. So our plan had originally been to take an afternoon break and go back to the Magic Kingdom for Happily Ever After. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? We had a late night last night. We have access to the Skyliner. We can take the Skyliner back from Art of Animation to Hollywood Studios, and then the Skyliner back home at the end of the night. And it's really easy for transportation. And that was the decision that we made. And it really paid off for us that night. We got to Hollywood Studios mid-afternoon, and there was almost a walk-on for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And it was a ride that none of us had ever experienced before. We didn't get to go down before it, when it opened in that short window of time before the parks closed due to the pandemic. So it was our first ride, all 4 of us, and we loved it. We absolutely loved it. The girls to this day say that was their favorite ride the whole trip. They love it. They love the dancing room with Daisy, and the part where Donald ends up getting everything taken off of him, including his feathers. They love that part. Spoiler alert, everybody. It was, it's a really great ride, and we really loved it, and we did get a bunch of stuff done at the studios that night. So it was a really good decision for us to hop to the studios.
See, and I see that you guys went to the studios. That was your park for the next day. So you were kind of being like proactive and getting some stuff done this day. So it probably made the next day. So you go there on Monday, and I guess it makes things a little pressures off because you're already kind of ahead of the game. Is that kind of what your strategy, besides being on the Skyliner? Because that's a great strategy. Because when you're done there, boom, you can be back to your resort in 10 minutes, and you literally can. You just jump off at the Caribbean beach and boom, you're back. But so talk to us about the next day at the studios. Was that kind of something that helped being there the night before?
That was a big part of it. That was part of our strategy when we made the decision to hop to the studios. That came up in the conversation was, well, we can knock some stuff out, and there's less for us to worry about the next morning when we go to the studios. We can pay more attention to Galaxy's Edge and Rise of the Resistance. We got a boarding group, and there's a funny story associated with the boarding group. This is obviously back when they still had boarding groups. So I had made a big deal out of boarding groups. I really wanted to get a boarding group to ride Rise. So I had my phone with the My Disney Experience app. I logged Lisa, my wife, into my Disney Experience account on her phone. So I'm like, okay, you stay here. I'm going to go out by the pool. I took your advice, Mike. I turned off the Wi-Fi. I went to an open area. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to do this. He is in bed on the Disney Wi-Fi. So 7 o'clock hits. I hit the button, and I get an error has occurred. Oh God, no, please. So I wait, I hit it again, and it says, members of your party already have a boarding group. And I'm like, so I walk back to the room. I just like, you got it, didn't you? She's like, yep, lying in bed on the Disney Wi-Fi. She doesn't understand why this is so hard. I got like that.
And let me just say, so I'm glad that the boarding groups are done, because that was our number one question we got in the podcast for about 18 months, and we never got a right answer. So I'm sorry, everybody. We gave the wrong answer because there was no right answer. We thought it was, don't use Wi-Fi, then use Wi-Fi, go up in the middle of the area. Then you're right. You Art of Animation in bed. Who knew? That was the best way to get it. It was totally random. I'm glad that's all.
Exactly. totally
Oh,
random. But we got boarding group 69, which was a good boarding group. Later in the day, we got to experience some of the park before we got to our boarding group. Rise is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm a big Star Wars fan. My jaw was on the floor basically the entire ride. The things that they've done with that attraction are just phenomenal. The combination of the trackless ride system and everything that's going on around you, you really feel like you are on a Star Destroyer in the middle of a major battle.
right, right.
Just absolutely incredible.
I mean, it is so immersive. I mean, you're just even in the parts where it's like a transitional period within the attraction, because there are some transitional portions. You're going between, one major part of the attraction to another. As a fan, you're looking around like, oh my gosh, I've almost like seen this part. I mean, this is so minor. It's just getting me from okay, this scene to this scene, but I'm on a Star Destroyer. It's exact, as a Star Wars nerd, that is the kind of stuff that got me too. But then the story just brings it all together. Oh my gosh, I love that attraction. It was so worth the wait. And it's one of those things, I'm sure you've been watching this from afar ever since the boarding groups went away. I mean, it's pretty exciting to see that right now you can stand by it and it's not, everybody said, oh, if they don't have boarding groups, the line's going to end back at, Epcot. And, I mean, it hasn't been horrible. I should be knocking on wood, but it hasn't been horrible, a couple hours. I'd wait a couple hours for that
Right.
attraction. It's not bad.
Absolutely. That's a ride that's worth the wait. No matter, if it's 30 minutes or 120 minutes, it's 100% worth the wait.
Awesome. Now, so you guys did the opposite this day. You guys hopped from the studios back over to the Magic Kingdom. So I see another first ride, another mountain, Big
It
Thunder.
was, yes. It was another mountain. We conquered another mountain on that second afternoon. We
This
we
is
conquered
doing it.
Thunder Mountain this time.
Yes. Okay. So this one, I see a little thumbs up action on this one. I like it.
Thumbs up. Two thumbs up. We got the seal of approval on Thunder Mountain from Lucy this time. She really enjoyed it. She can be a bit of a thrill seeker at times, but it's the big drops that really get her. So thankfully, we all know Thunder Mountain, fast twists and turns, but no big drops. So she really enjoyed. She had a great time on Thunder Mountain.
So I also see it's your last time seeing Happily Ever After. So let me ask you this: where does Happily Ever After rank for you with all the past Walt Disney World nighttime spectaculars? Is it one of your favorites? Is it the ultimate one? Where do you put it?
It's probably my favorite that I've seen at Magic Kingdom. My favorite nighttime show of all is Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios, but
Nice.
Happily Ever After definitely holds a special place in our heart. It was the first fireworks show at Disney that Lucy saw. Our first trip when we took her when she was 3 years old, and Lucy is we struggled to start a family, and so Lucy is kind of a we call her our miracle munchkin. So that the happily ever after theme really hits home when it comes to that. So it's sad to see it go, and I was not gonna lie, bawling a little bit.
No, I get it. You don't
Yeah,
tell me.
I was holding Lucy up so she could see the projections and the fireworks, and ignoring the screaming pain in my back and my shoulder. But we were singing. She was singing the words along with me, and I'm like, no, I'm not crying. I'm fine. Just something in my eye.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, my last viewing was with the girls because we went down for that cruise, and we didn't have theme park tickets that day, but we watched it from the Grand Floridian, and that was my last time seeing it. But I got to. That was the coolest thing, is that I didn't think my last time seeing it would be with my two daughters. And to me, I didn't get to see the project. I'd seen it so many times, and I didn't get to see the projections the last time, but I got to listen to the music and I got to see the fireworks with my two daughters. And that was the ultimate. Like I'd trade that from being on Main Street by myself to be with my two girls. And the one thing you mentioned, and I think this is so true, is that while these shows go, my favorite's Illuminations, and Fantasmic's my wife's favorite. But the good news is, like, when these shows go, and Wishes is my favorite one from the Magic Kingdom, and it's for the same reason. It's the one that was playing when we first started going to the Magic Kingdom with Paige when she was a little girl, is that fortunately we always have the music, right? Your girls sing the music.
Yes.
Mallory plays the music on her Amazon device. I don't want to set off everybody's thing. Every time she takes a shower at night, like I hear it in the bathroom, she sets it off. It's playing. It's one of those things that it always brings back a good memory. So even though the fireworks shows are gone, we still have the music, and that music kind of always lets those things live on in our hearts. And it always brings back the memories every time we play that song.
100% true. That's that music, that song, it just gets you. It really does.
We got to move on before we start right now. Okay, you also mentioned
Yep.
that night that you had good luck with the buses after leaving Happily Ever After. Overall, how was the transportation from Art of Animation? I've always had good luck at Pop and Art, but how was it for you guys?
We had a lot of great luck from Art of Animation. I love that despite the fact that Pop and Art are values, they have their own dedicated bus line each. So that makes such a difference. And then obviously the Skyliner for Epcot and Hollywood Studios are a game changer for those two resorts. They really make those destinations now. Despite the fact that they're value resorts, that Skyliner access is such a huge perk. But transportation wise, it was great. We really had a great week with the buses and the Skyliner. That night leaving Magic Kingdom, you're obviously, when you're leaving Magic Kingdom after Happily Ever After, your concern is, all right, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to wait for an hour and a half to 2 hours for the bus. So we decided we were going to wait a little bit in the park, but then the swell of people heading towards the exit were just kind of sort of pushing us in that direction. And I said to Lisa, I'm like, well, if we're going to wait, we might as well wait in a bus line. So we head out and we head over to the buses, and we're getting closer to the Art of Animation stop, and there's hardly anybody in line. Like, something's got to be wrong. What's going on here? And we look, and there's actually two buses sitting there, both for Art of Animation. One is the extra long Disney bus. The other is a coach bus. And this is, they've been renting out or contracting out these coach buses for regular Disney transportation due to the bus driver shortage and everything. So we got to get on this coach bus and ride, in comfort, like we were coming on the Magical Express from Magic Kingdom back Art of Animation. And we were back in our room before 10 o'clock, which has got to be some kind of record.
I will say, you know what? You mentioned that the same thing. So I was staying at Pop Century when I was down for the 50th on October 1st. And I stayed in, obviously I was there for the first Enchantment. So I watched the fireworks. And I mean, you saw the pictures, but everybody saw the pictures on October 1st of the Magic Kingdom. It was crazy packed on Main Street. And I was way up by the castle because somehow we lucked into a spot by the partner statue. And then we left right after the fireworks because I think the park closed no, I think they did 1 hour or something after. I was like, I'm tired because we were there all day. So, and I'm old. So I was like, I'm leaving. And I was like, it was the same like you. I'm just going to go get in the line at the buses. And when I get back, It's going to be crazy because I'm at Pop Century. This is the one thing that I'm just going to pay the piper. I'm staying at a value. I'm going to be waiting all night, but this is my one night. When I go to the studios in Epcot, I'm golden, but this is it. So I could walk down. I'm like, okay, here's my hack for staying at Pop. I always check the Art of Animation bus just in case, because if there's not a lot of people in that corral, I'll jump Art of Animation, then just cut right through that bridge, and just walk right over to Pop.
Yep.
I was staying in the 60s.
That was my backup plan.
Exactly. So if you're staying at either one, check the other. And that's what happened. Art of Animation did not have a line. Pop Centuries was packed. I mean, packed, like just jammed. Art of Animation, they had two buses, and one, just like you, was a motor coach. I got on the motor coach sitting like I was going to a Run Disney event in a plush seat, like Magical Express, like you said. And here's the kicker. The next day I was going to Epcot to ride Ratatouille for the very first time. I've never seen the movie. They were showing the movie on the bus on the way back to Art of Animation. And I got to see the part that basically the whole ride's about. I was calling Scott. I was like, Scott, I think this is what the movie's going to be about. Cause he's in the kitchen. He's like running all over. They're trying to catch him. He's like, I think that's what the ride's going to be about. I'm like, it has to be. So yeah, I was like, I couldn't believe it because it was the whole thing. I'm like the whole way. I'm like, this is just what I got to pay for. I'm staying at a value. Gonna have to wait an hour for a bus.
Yep.
I was back so fast. But it could have gone the other way. I mean, sometimes you just get lucky. That was it. So yeah.
And I know it'll never happen again. Never again will I be staying at a value and get that kind of bus line. But such was our luck this time.
I've used all that luck for the next 10 years. It's all gone. Okay. Yep. So next day, though, you guys take a day off from the parks. So talk to us about good idea, especially when you have little kids. So how do you take care of this day off, staying out of the theme parks?
Yeah, so that's been our plan the last couple of trips with our girls. Was we were going to plan an off day from the parks, take the time and relax and kind of refresh a little bit. So we went to Disney Springs first thing in the morning. It was our plan to try to get to Gideon's and get in the virtual queue. So we get heading towards Gideon's, and we noticed that there's just basically a few people standing out next to Gideon's in a line behind a stanchion. So we're like, oh, maybe they're not doing a virtual queue right now. So my wife gets in line, and I walk around with the girls in the stroller, kind of try to keep them occupied. And Lisa waited about 20 minutes in line, got in, and got our Gideon's cookies and our coffees for the day, and didn't have to worry about the virtual queue. So that's a tip. If you're going to go to Gideon's, get there early. The peanut butter cold brew is fabulous, absolutely fabulous as well. So Gideon's is, 2 big thumbs up.
Sounds good. Yes, I'm gonna get there one of these days. Probably not for the wine and dine, but maybe for marathon weekend. I got to get there. It seems like so much work, but people luck into it. I mean, a lot of people come on the show on Mondays and they're like, it wasn't that bad. Every time there, it always is. So, what else you guys do? Get
That
Disney
was our
Springs.
experience, thankfully.
And I know you guys got lucky. You're using a lot of luck this trip, so you better be careful.
We are. Like I said, never going to happen. Knock on wood. Never going to happen again. Never.
Yeah, next time, long lines and no cookies. Okay, so you guys also went to Deluxe Burger. So how was that? Ooh, and also Polite Pig.
My girls love.
I love Polite Pig. Go ahead. Sorry.
Polite Pig is the best. It is a must do
every
time for me.
Right now, just seeing those words, I can smell it in the studio.
Yep, that sauce, that pulled pork. Oh, so good. I've had dinner and I'm already hungry again. My girls love the chicken nuggets from Deluxe Burger, the donut fried chicken nuggets, so good. We mobile ordered some chicken nuggets for the girls, and then we got our Polite Pig. We sat, had a really great meal. Yeah, Polite Pig is like I said, it's a must do. I have to find a way to get to Polite Pig every time we're down at Walt Disney World. It's really a must stop. I'll skip rides if it means I can get to Polite Pig.
Oh, that is absolutely the right answer. And they put that thing right next to the entrance by that escalator on purpose. I mean, it takes willpower.
Yeah, you smell it coming down those stairs, and it's you're done. It's over. Absolutely over.
There's an old cartoon when I was a kid, like some guy's picked up like by his nose and smells something.
Picked up, yep, by the scent. Yep, absolutely. That is a perfect description for me and Polite Pig.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so then you guys headed back to the pool, did some swimming. Looks like you did some resort hopping on the monorail. So this sounds like a good day. You're getting a lot done, but it's nothing that like you're standing in line, nothing stressful. You're just kind of going at your own pace and snacking and having a good time.
Yep, we've done the monorail loop a couple times now, and we really love to do that on these trips because they're resorts that we're just never going to be able to afford to stay at for any real length of time. So this is really our way to experience those resorts is by taking a day and hopping and going to the shops and riding the monorail and seeing the grounds and everything. Stopped at the Catempo Cafe for a monorail cupcake. That's a winner. We did have a little bit of trouble with the monorail. The monorail broke down as we were trying to get from the Contemporary to the Polynesian. So we waited for about a half hour sitting on the monorail car and then had to get off and take a bus over to the Polynesian. So that was a bit of a downfall, but we got to the Poly and enjoyed a quick service dinner at Captain Cook's. Low key, really casual. Just had a really great night.
That's a good night though, because it's a good break because you're not, jumping around trying to do a million things, just having a nice casual dinner, some cupcakes, checking out the resort. I like that. That sounds like the older I get, the more that sounds better. Like when I first started going, like, oh my gosh, you're wasting time. That is not wasting time.
Totally
not wasting time. Okay, so the next morning,
yeah, and not being on the dining plan, we didn't feel the need to rush to character meals or dining experiences at sit down restaurants. So we were able to do these quick service places and take our time and have a nice low-key meal at Captain Cook, something we hadn't done before. So it was a new experience for us and really probably wouldn't have happened if we had been on the dining plan.
Absolutely. All right. So, and also speaking of winning with dining, the next morning is your Epcot day. So you guys have a quick service breakfast of Gideon's cookies from the night before. Yes, you're on vacation. That works.
You bet. Exactly. It's vacation. Calories don't count at Walt Disney World. They don't. We'd saved our cookies because we're like the whole day we're like, okay, well, we're going to get a cupcake here. We're going to do this here. So what do we do with these cookies? So the next morning we're getting ready to go for our Epcot day and the cookies are sitting there staring us in the face. We go, okay, breakfast. Exactly. So yes, we had Gideon's cookies for breakfast. Somehow they are just as good the next day. Devoured some Gideon's cookies, and then headed off to Epcot.
That works. Okay, so tell us about Epcot. You guys went to Frozen Ever After first. That was your rope drop attraction.
Yeah, I will say that the back in August, Epcot was still opening at 11, so that does sort of throw you off for the day, getting into Epcot that late. But we went right to Frozen Ever After, and it was actually our first time walking through the regular standby queue. Anytime before this, we'd only done Frozen Ever After via FastPass, so we walked through, experienced that standby queue for the first time, and it's a great queue. It really is. And then the ride itself, my girls are huge Frozen fans. I talked about earlier that Lucy was Elsa for Trick or Treat, so Frozen's huge in our house. They both love that ride. Molly was a little scared of the big snowman of Marshmallow. She had a little bit of fear of him, but other than that, it's a great ride all around. And the animatronics in that ride are just fabulous.
He's not there very much. He's gone pretty quick. Get out of here, Marshmallow.
A couple seconds and he's done.
That's right. And also, I see Living with the Land is a hit for your daughters. Good, best attraction at Walt Disney World. So there you go.
And I have to confess, Mike, I personally have not ridden Living in the Land for a few years.
Oh,
I know. Please don't take away my BOGP fandom card.
Hey, I just saw today on social media the Christmas lights are going up again, and I still haven't seen that because how'd I miss it last year during Marathon? But I will get to see it, I think, in Marathon this year. Oh, because I'm a Christmas light nut, and that's my favorite. I love Living with the Land, so that'll be fun. Soon.
Yeah, my girls had a garden this past summer, and it was the first time they'd really had our own garden at our house. So that's why we've decided, we'll take them through Living with the Land. They can see plants and veggies and everything growing, and they really enjoyed that. They loved seeing all the plants and like calling out the names of the flowers and the plants on the ride. And it was a nice, relaxing, boat ride through Living with the Land. And we hit Soarin' while we were in the Land Pavilion, and Lucy loves Soarin'. She got to ride it twice thanks to Rider Swap. So, we had a great time, and then headed our way into World Showcase.
Nice. The girls do okay in World Showcase because that age they're kind of there's not a whole lot going on back there for them. You did though. I saw that you did the Remy's hide and squeak scavenger hunt kind of thing. A little interactive.
We did, and that was really helpful when it came to their enjoyment of World Showcase, because it gave them something to look for in every pavilion as we went around. We really, and they really looked hard for those for the Remy's in every country and on the booths for food and wine. Lucy was really proud of herself for spotting Remy on her own a couple different occasions during the go around in World Showcase. We went around and we collected all of our stickers, and the girls got their prizes at the end, and we even got some pixie dust from a fellow guest. It wasn't even a cast member, it was actually a fellow guest. We were waiting to collect our prizes for the hide and squeak, and a young lady came out of one of the souvenir shops holding a BB-8 balloon. And while Lucy's not a huge Star Wars fan, she hasn't seen the movie, she does know who BB-8 is. And immediately as she saw the balloon, she yelled, BB-8! And the girl was like, yep, it's BB-8. And they sort of walked away. And about 5 minutes later, she came back with the balloon, and she held it out to my girls and said, do you guys want this balloon? And we're like, oh, really? She said, well, yeah, I just wanted to take a picture with it for Instagram, but I don't need it anymore. Do you guys want this balloon? So she gave my girls the BB-8 balloon, and that became theirs for the rest of the trip.
That's awesome. I've heard a lot of guests that, get a balloon for the trip, and then they'll hand it off like to somebody because you can't take it on your flight, right? So you might hand it off to a family on your last day. I love that though. Guests making magic for other guests. That's so cool. Because just keep the magic going. That's super sweet. All right. So I want to make sure we get all this in. So the next day, because I want to ask you about this, you guys have Animal Kingdom, and you started off with breakfast at Tusker House. We haven't talked about this in ages. So how was Tusker House for you guys back in August?
Tusker House was great. The food was fantastic. The service was really great. We had a really great waitress. And actually, the last time we went to Tusker House, we're pretty sure that our server from that trip in 2019 was the same server we had back in August.
Oh wow.
we vaguely recognized her, and we're pretty sure it was her. And she was fantastic. The food was great. Molly still struggles with the characters, unfortunately. She's still a little gun shy about the characters. The would come into the room, and obviously with the COVID protocols, they weren't coming up to the tables. They were sort of in the middle of the room, in between the tables on either side, and just posing and waving to the tables as they went around. And Molly, every time the characters came around, or even when the music played in the restaurant to announce that the characters were coming out, was basically trying to climb me like a tree because she was terrified. So something to work on for future trips. But besides that, I mean, the experience was great.
That's awesome. I'm looking at this though. So once you guys had breakfast, I mean, Lucy's she's brave because it says first ride on Everest. I mean, okay, Splash Mountain and Big Thunder. I mean, Splash Mountain's a big deal. Big Thunder's kind of a middle. I mean, Everest is a big old roller coaster. It's no joke. She gave that thumbs down. Okay, I thought it said thumbs up. Okay, that's a big roller coaster.
She did. No, unfortunately, it was a thumbs down. After the backwards part, when you come back out from the backwards part and head down that big hill, that was what kind of did her in. She wasn't a fan of that. But she survived, and it was another mountain that she checked off of her list. But it could have gone better, I think. But we did the safari. The girls loved the safari, and I took Molly on the safari a second time while Lisa and Lucy headed to Pandora, because we noticed that the line for Flight of Passage was only about 35 minutes, and none of us had ever done Flight of Passage. So it was an opportunity for us to experience something new that none of us had ever done. So Molly and I got an extra ride on the safari, and then Lucy and Lisa did Flight of Passage, which Lucy could not stop raving about Flight of Passage when she and I went back through for our rider swap. And she was right. She was absolutely right. It's such a great ride. Everything about it, the immersion, the effects, just the sensations you get riding that ride. I'm so glad that I got to do it.
Yeah, I wish I could get past the motion thing. Like I just have a motion sensitivity in that and in Star Tours, and it kills me because I want to do both so much. Because I get it. I mean, I've been on Flight of Passage 2 or 3 times, and it is so cool. But it's just now I'm to the point where I'm petrified I'm going to get sick, and like once you get that in your head, you're fighting it. You're not enjoying the ride. So yeah, I'm
Right.
glad
And
she
the
liked
whole
it.
ride, she goes, Daddy. Yeah, she's like, Daddy, wait for this part. Daddy, oh, you're gonna love this part. Daddy, you're gonna love this part. And I'm like,
awesome.
I'm sitting next to her. Oh, okay, whoa, all right.
That's awesome. You guys took advantage of the hopper. I love it because you hopped back over to the studios, got to do Mickey and Minnie's again. But also, how cool is this though? Is a dad, right? And you're a Star Wars fan. Got to ride the Millennium Falcon with your daughter. I mean, seriously, like that's the stuff of dreams for a dad.
Not only did we get to ride the Millennium Falcon, we got to pilot the Millennium Falcon. So you want to talk about a dream come true?
I mean,
I'm
right
sitting
there.
where Chewbacca sat. I get to punch. I get to kick the Millennium Falcon into hyperspace.
Right.
I was geeking out big time. And I told Lucy, I made a deal with Lucy. I said, listen, I don't necessarily care how well you steer. I don't care how well you do as far as steering the Millennium Falcon. I just need to yell Chewie punch it when it's time for me to kick it into hyperspace, because that's going to make the entire thing for me. So did she steer all that well? Not so much. Did she yell Chewie punch it when it was time for light speed? Yes, she did. It's a win in my book.
That's exactly. Yeah, I remember we were the pilots, Mallory and I was just thinking, that in that moment, I was like, God, if 12-year-old Mike could have known that he was going to be piloting the Millennium, like in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon with his daughter, at some point in his lifetime, this is the stuff of dreams, man. This is the place dreams come true. So that's very cool. Okay, we only got a couple minutes. I want to get back to your last day because you do go to the Magic Kingdom to book in the trip. How do you guys kind of take care of this last day? Because I see you go to the Magic Kingdom, you kind of end up going back to Disney Springs before you head out. So that last day is always a tough one. So how'd you guys tackle that?
It is. We like to kind of take that last day, and we either try to hit some attractions that we haven't done yet, or if there's stuff that we want to go back and we want to do again at the Magic Kingdom, we'll do that. We don't really put a lot of pressure on ourselves that last day. It's like, okay, we're going to do whatever we can get done. So we did get to ride Space Mountain, and it was Lucy's first ride on Space Mountain. Yes, she conquered all 4 mountains at Walt Disney World. Space Mountain was a thumbs up.
Good deal.
thankfully. She really did enjoy Space Mountain. She rode that twice on the rider swap. We really took advantage of rider swap, definitely. We did, we got to do PhilharMagic again. The girls really love PhilharMagic. They love the music. They love, Ariel and Aladdin and Jasmine. Mickey and Minnie and Donald, love that stuff. And then finally, we all sort of said, okay, I think we've probably done everything we're going to get done at Magic Kingdom. So let's head out. We'll go back to the pool. We'll swim a little bit, get that one last swim in before it's time to go home. And then we headed over to Disney Springs, and you can't go wrong with Deluxe Burger. That was our dinner for everybody. We had a great dinner at Deluxe Burger. Went to World of Disney and dropped a ton of money on princess stuff. But
that.
When you live with two princesses, obviously, you got to spend the money on princess stuff.
That's it. I remember those days. It just like it was yesterday. Now they're 13 and 25. Oh my gosh, it goes too fast. Mike was saying that in the live chat. Mike Leone here. It goes too fast. So we got to wrap this up because we're running a little long. But looking back on this trip, like, what advice would you give somebody that's headed down, has maybe, younger kids? Like, is there something you would have done differently? A tip you're going to throw out there for somebody? Just, in conclusion, just kind of throw out some advice to some future folks that are heading down.
Don't put too much pressure on yourselves. You got to work with your kids' pace. Definitely take the breaks in the middle of the day. If you've got girls like I do and they're big into princesses, you definitely can't go wrong with Art of Animation and those Little Mermaid rooms. The theming is so great. Everything from the chairs and the tables to the shower is Ariel themed. So it was a big hit with our girls, and it's a big hit with princess fans all over the place. And just cherish every moment. Yes. They're only going to be this little for so long. My girls turn 7 and 3 next month. So the time keeps going, and it gets faster and faster as it goes on. So just, take these moments and enjoy them, because you're not going to get them back. So, enjoy the experience and live every moment like, how much it matters.
Disney's so good at that. There was that commercial right before COVID, and it said something like, they're only little for a little while. And that one just tears me up, because it just gets to your core, because it is so true. When you get to the age where, one has graduated college, the other one's getting ready to start high school. And honestly, God, in my mind's eye, they're still both, the little girls you see, just like your age, like your girl's age, like in the princess dresses, because I still see Mallory is Ariel, and Paige was always, Jasmine, or, Snow White or something. I got to stop this, because you're talking about getting emotional for Happily Ever After. I get emotional just thinking about this stuff, because it happens too fast. But man, it's so good to have the memories. And I appreciate you coming on, and this is so fun to start a week talking about these fun trips and taking a trip down memory lane. So Adam, thanks again for coming on the show. And after your next adventure, we'll connect again and talk about, all the stuff your girls do again. But Lucy's got it. There's really not much she hasn't done now.
Yeah, she's pretty much conquered everything. So, what's left for her to do?
All right, just do it again. All right, Adam, take care, and happy November. And again, thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
All right, today, I said this at the top of the show, we have a new sponsor. So check this out, Park Snacker. I almost said Park Snapper. That would be a turtle, but this is Park Snacker, and this is for our fans. I'm telling you what, we talk about dining, we talk about snacks at Walt Disney World. This is the app you need to check out. There's a new app, and it's free for Disney fans, called Park Snacker. Rate, review, and discover over 60,000 menu items from Walt Disney World. Whether you're in the parks planning your next trip, Park Snapper is the snacker. I keep saying snapper. I am sorry, man. It's Park Snacker is the perfect way to capture the latest food trends and keep your stomach happy. Rate and review every menu item. Give a scenario about, I screwed that all up. I have to take that out. I'm going to do this ad read after the show. All right. I'm just going to do the ad read offline, because this is a lot in here. All right. Well, Adam, I'm going to cut you loose. I'm going to do the ad read offline, because there is too much in here that I'll have to, I got to edit this. I should have read it ahead of time. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show, and
no problem
for Monday. Appreciate it, bud. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Take care.
All right, see you later. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.